Alright everyone, this video is to make your sauce for your homemade pizza. I'm going to actually use a combination of canned tomatoes and a couple of fresh tomatoes that I have left from the garden. Typically at home I just use a big 28-ounce can of diced tomatoes, but since I have the fresh ones I figured I might as well use them. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this very similarly to when we made our marinara sauce. I'm going to just add my fresh tomatoes into the blender. I'm going to open my can of diced tomatoes. And I'm going to also add those into the blender because I want to puree them into a sauce. Put the blender on. There's no rules on how many times you have to hit the button for pizza sauce. So I'm just going to get it until it's nice and blended. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get some olive oil heating in a pan. I'll add my sauce and then I'll add my seasoning and get that cooked. Okay, so I'm going to turn my heat onto medium heat. I'm going to use about 2 tablespoons of olive oil in here. Okay, if you are not comfortable with just pouring it in there, you can always use your measuring spoon to measure your tablespoons. Okay, I'm going to let this heat up a little bit and then I'm going to add my blended tomatoes into my pot. All right, so I blended these. I'm going to add them in here. And just like with the marinara, as this cooks, it's going to get thicker. So as the steam kind of evaporates the water, it's going to thicken up a little bit, so we'll have a nice pizza sauce. Okay, so some of the seasonings that you are going to add into your pizza sauce are salt, pepper, garlic powder. Oregano is a big pizza flavor, so you definitely want to add oregano. I'm going to get all my measurements laid out and then I will show you how to add them in. Okay, I've got everything ready to go. Now I'm going to add it into my sauce. I am going to do half a teaspoon of garlic powder. Now again, if any of these flavors are strong for you guys, you can always start with less and then you can add more if you need it. Half a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, get some salt in there. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of oregano. I'm going to actually add half a teaspoon of basil to make it a nice herbaceous sauce. I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Really, a dash of pepper is pretty close to a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to add that in there. And then the other thing I'm going to add is half a tablespoon of sugar. If you pay attention to pizza next time you eat it, you'll notice a little sweetness to the sauce. Part of that comes from the tomatoes, but part of it comes from sugar. A lot of places add sugar. So I'm going to do half a tablespoon. I just filled that up like that. And then I'm going to stir this all in just until it's evenly distributed throughout. Right? I'm going to let this cook for about 15 to 20 minutes until my sauce thickens up, and then it will be ready to top my pizza with. Because I'm using fresh tomatoes, just like with the marinara, it might take a little bit longer to cook to get rid of that little, like acidic tomato flavor. So I'm going to start with 15 to 20 and see where we are at from there. Alright, I'm going to leave my heat on a medium until it's about simmering. Remember, simmering is little bubbles at the surface. We don't want our heat too high because we don't want tomatoes splashing everywhere. Alright, I'll be back to show you what the finished product looks like. Alright everybody, my sauce is simmering. You can kind of see the bubbles that are happening there. I'm about to turn the heat off. because it has thickened up nicely and is a good consistency for sauce. If you wanted your sauce a little bit thicker, you could let it cook a little bit longer. If you notice, the color of it has changed a bit. It might be hard to see on video, but from when I first started to now, it's a deeper red color. It's a much more rich color, and that's another indication that my sauce is ready to go. So I'm going to turn this heat off, and then I'm going to get my pizza toppings ready so I can put my pizza together.